What's up, guys? Chris Tilley here with
Kimba. Who do we got? David Murphy came all the way up from Florida to spend the day with you and I on the Super Grand Ranch. And let me tell you what, we have ultimate training goodness for David Murphy.
Well, let's see what David Murphy has going on here. Let's see if we can pick apart a couple things he can work on.
Well, I want to say one thing up front. He's a masterclass shooter. He's accomplished in his division, and he's at this challenging point as a coach and as a student where the gains are harder earned, right?
Oh, dude, every step you go up, it absolutely is harder earned.
So right off the top, what do you see with David's upper body, the torso?
What you just said, upper body, it's all twisting, man. It needs to start from that lower powerhouse of the legs, and it's not.
So I was fortunate enough to spend time with David on the range prior to the match and after the match, and he has said that he's been coached in some ways to keep the torso
I don't think
tight.
my execution was where it should have been through the transition to the far target right before the Cooper tunnel, and then the speed of deliberate action coming out of the Cooper tunnel. The rest of it I think was pretty good. Took 3 shots at the back steel. I think I gripped coming up the stairs, not respecting it. Other than that, I liked how it went.
It wasn't a bad run. You know, how he shot underneath the Cooper tunnel, I really wasn't that big of a fan of. I think he made the shot much harder than it needed to be. Yeah, he needed to go under there, but he needed to be a lot more explosive going under than he was.
So alternatively speaking, he could have pushed that position forward like 10 yards, right?
Yeah, and right there, you know, where he was shooting over it, I decided to shoot over top of the Cooper's tunnel. I can't even hardly say that. And then shoot the low target and then really go down. Take my momentum of going up almost on my tippy toes and going down. He did the opposite there and kind of got flat-footed.
Right, and you're talking about changing levels. To bring it back to the point about his upper body, what needs to be going on there?
It's really simple to understand and to do. It's hard to actually start making yourself do it because it's not natural. But your thighs, your lower body needs to be moving the gun, not your upper body. Your eyes lead, and with the movement of your lower body, everything else follows. And right now what he's doing is moving it with his shoulders and upper back.
Now, did you notice he loses pace as he exits the Cooper tunnel?
Well, he got caught flat-footed, you know, at the start of the Cooper tunnel. Just a tactical error. Made the shot a little harder, yes, but I think it was a time loss right here. This is actually one of the few times I actually like where his weight is also. A lot of the beginning, his weight's too far back. It's more center than it is in front. Good start there.
So what you're saying is he puts the brakes on, right?
Yep.
He puts the brakes on, then 0 to 60 is slow getting out.
Yep. But I think that's where he lost it on that last stage. Let's see here. Let's see if it's more the same, how the tactics and everything go.
I noticed the tension in his shoulders before he even draws.
It might be a flexibility problem. You know, I see that a lot with guys. So going down the middle like this, in my opinion, it made the shots a lot tighter than they had to be. You had to kind of move. He's doing the backwards L, essentially. The upside down backwards L, where actually I did the L movement. I just think that the shots were too hard. It's too easy to drop points.
So my grip wasn't right going to the first target on the right. I fixed it on the transition. I changed my plan right before I went. I'm happy with the plan I did. The execution was somewhat along the lines of having just changed the plan. I had wanted to lean out and start moving on target 2 and 3. I didn't. That's okay. Coming into the front. Grip was a little goofy, but it's still acceptable. First couple plates on the star went well. I'm not quite sure what I was doing. If there was something obvious that I was doing on the last 2 or 3 plates of the star, that would be helpful.
So I want to call attention to one thing before we get there. His heart in relationship to his knees, which is obviously just a tool for referring to this posture issue, is a little too far to the rear. His pelvis is not tilted forward enough for him to get in an athletic stance.
Right. Yep. I'd like to see the shoulders in front of the hips. You know, it should be knees, shoulders, hips. And his shoulders are over top, best case scenario of his hips. Or in a lot of cases, behind.
Right. And I think this is slowing him down, so that's one place he can take time off.
For sure.
Now in dry fire, it's something he's just going to have to remain cognizant of. Here we're going to do a zoom in on the hips. You're going to see some travel as he re-engages the last few plates. And I think this is his desire to exit the position, and it ultimately leads to the makeups.
Well, watching him now for 2 stages and then his grip looks like it's on and off a lot. I think that's the follow-through issue right there on the plates that he was talking about. He looked like he actually followed through very little on the second and third plate, and he just got lucky with it, but it just got worse and worse and worse until he missed it.
Now, when you say follow-through, what do you mean exactly?
Well, it's the grip pressure as the gun's breaking the shot. His grip pressure's coming on and off, it appears. And, even with the trigger, he's not holding that trigger back long enough to get that follow-through. And I would say it's also visual. Hard for me to see there, but just knowing as a shooter myself what you're doing, you're not, physically following through. Grip pressure, I would say, is number 1. You can overcome a lot of bad trigger control there. Visual, number 2. Trigger control, number 3 is how I put it.
Okay, so to bring it back, I think that coming from the tactical space, David has learned to build a shooting platform that is disconnected in the middle. So if he could bring his midsection into alignment, either in the direction of travel or in the direction of targets, it'd be better. But he's splitting the two.
I agree. That's very normal. That's very much the status quo of, what happens with beginner shooters.
Okay. And obviously, it's stark that he's a masterclass shooter who's performing at a high level.
Well, he's an athletic guy. He's a good shooter. Don't get me wrong. He's actually doing better than he should be probably with that technique.
And there's a lot of fat left on the bone, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So we're going to do some zoom in on his grip here. I notice he does indeed milk the grip and pressure from the pinky towards the index with the support hand.
Sounds like a pattern. It's not usually a pattern. Had established grip funny. It's weird going low. I've never done a pickup from quite that angle. Called good hits on the partial. I thought I would have two up high, but there was a mic. So interested to see if there was something, if it was the funny grip or what Chris said he thought the pattern of the rest of the stage was hits were going a little high right. So take a look at that.
As you were saying,
again, this was a really technical stage actually because how your feet were planted, and he gets caught twisting a lot. You can see his upper, like just his shoulders, and he's not even moving his hips here at hardly at all.
Yeah, and I want to jump on that, David. When you rewatch this footage, watch your elbows in relationship to your knees, and you'll notice the elbows oftentimes are leading. If we could bring these two aspects of your body into correspondence, I think you'd get better results.
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly what this overlay is doing. I sucked on the first shot. You destroyed me. I caught up to you because I was able to start all the movement together, stop all the movement together. Not faster than you. I just did it with all my body, where you're starting with the upper body and ending with the lower, and it's costing you time.
One of the biggest symptoms, I think, that indicates, too much pressure in the top half of the chassis or the shoulder girdle is during those first shots after the draw, you can literally see the recoil running down his arms.
Yes. On that last one for sure, absolutely. That was a great shot, actually.
The right to left reload, a little awkward.
That's a hard reload. I'd like to see you. I would just like to see you done what we call drop, grab, and go, where you insert at the end of the position. You kind of got caught.
The plan. It's funny that there was a better one. Surprised that I didn't call the shot well enough. I thought I called a miss on the rear steel, shot it twice. From that, I thought it went pretty well. I'd like to see how smooth the movement was from third person, or if there were. So my impression was it went pretty well. Movement was smooth, quick. I want to see if I was actually running fast or not.
In regards to drop, grab, and go.
Yeah, I mean, just you get caught when you don't do that. When you do it at the beginning of the movement there, run to your left on the 90 like that, on that 180, you get caught not moving fast and not reloading fast. So if you drop, grab, and go, you can actually move fast, insert as you set up, and it's aggressive on both ends. I did not like the tack that he took here because this was all about being smooth and rolling through positions on the stage. When you went right to left, you could not do that. You had this awkward lean position at the end there that was a very hard static position and very technical.
So regardless of his match performance, I do like that we have this captured footage because we see when he leans out how tight again it is. And I'm not sure, do you have any ideas of what you could do in live or dry fire to just soften the upper body into a recoil absorbing platform?
You know, in dry fire, that's going to be a little hard, but you can kind of get the movement of your body work. Just doing transitions. Set yourself up for 45 degrees or bigger transitions and go back and forth and make sure the movement's coming from your lower body. So this time you actually shot it, this was the next day, this was Sunday, and you shot it more like I did on the tactic, and I think the result was about the same time, but you had better hits.
I recently made master. I've been shooting for about a little over a year and a half. I dry fire about 95% of my training is dry fire. I have generally had very consistent performance in matches. However, the speed is down, or the speed has never been faster. In things like this, where I can work a position, I know that I can go faster with control going by sight, but I typically don't do that in matches. I generally train alone, so I don't have someone to pick out pieces that I'm lagging on, and I dry fire to the point where I can't tell what my weaknesses are. Not that I don't think I have any, I just can't figure out what they are. Dry fire can give you that false sense of awesomeness when there's not the accountability. Right. So I am recently upping my live fire from once a month to 5-ish to 6 is my goal. That's about the best I can get with work and personal. I think the best thing I can do to improve during live fire is actually mini stages. I haven't set up mini stages. My live fires wound up rushed for work reasons. I know I got low-hanging fruit. I was really hoping that Chris can pick some of it out and point both my live and dry fire in a certain direction and have someone who's got a lot more experience tell me what is going on.
I'm going to say my piece before you play us out, Chris. I hate to say this to guys, but he needs to return to the fundamentals in dry fire. He needs to approach every shot as if it's a unique new experience. I'm not kidding. And he needs to focus on slacking the grip, potentially 5 to 10%, at its extension until we can start to reduce recoil again.
You know, it's funny you say that. I don't care what level that you're at. You're always working on fundamentals. You know, I like to say, you know, you have practical fundamentals and you have, you know, basic fundamentals. The basic and the practical, you're always working on them. But there's a couple drills we need to get to it. One of them is called Walking the Plank. It's got more moving and shooting drills on there. Again, it's for footwork. There's a movement drill that we do. It's called the box drill. We'll get a link to you. And there's these transition drills that we were talking about, just like before in live fire, moving with that lower body, leading with the eyes, moving all the physical gun and body with the lower body. And then trigger work. We needed to talk about actually getting you to understand that you don't pull the trigger one way. I talk to people about pulling the trigger 4 different ways, and depending on that target that you're engaging, depends on which way you're pulling the trigger.
Absolutely. So to wrap this up, David, as much as it pains me to say it, we need to readdress how invested you are into dry fire practice and how well you can correlate your perception of your dry fire performance to live fire. There's something going on at full extension with this tight inward grip pressure as opposed to an isometric rear to front grip pressure that's contributing to just like a 20% lag in your split times and in your transitions. If we can clean that up, I think there's a lot to gain.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I think that you just simply put, you're too tense in the upper body. It's slowing you down. It's costing you points because you're not able to move the gun to the alpha zone as easy as you should be able to. And there's also just the indecision of what you saw a lot of times is created from that as well.
So what we need to drive is hips, heart, and hands to target in the same axis and at the same acceleration. Oftentimes when those accelerations are different, we end up not being able to call shots effectively. And I think that's about to wrap us up.
Yep, that is it. So we'll get you that stuff, and next time we'll talk to you later, dude.
Awesome. Thank you, David.